Dr. Caroline, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing good, thank you. So I'm Melinda Roy. So I'm the host for the 2 days Global Summit 2023. Nice to meet you on the stage. So yeah, before
Likewise.
you start your presentation, I will give you a brief introduction of yours.
Okay.
So yes, Dr. Caroline is here. So Dr. Caroline is a dynamic entrepreneur with a background in mental health, coaching, and renewable energy, with a doctorate in psychology, specializing in marriage and family therapy. She's transitioned into coaching before expanding her interest into new ventures. As co-owner of a solar energy company, Dr. Caroline has become a driving force in the renewable energy sector, establishing her own recruiting agency for solar companies. She is also a private wellness consultant, international speaker, published author, YouTube creator, and podcaster, showcasing her entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to making a positive impact on the world. So, yes, Dr. Caroline, you can go ahead with your presentation. In between, you are looking so pretty.
Thank you. Likewise. Thank you so
Yes,
much for having me. It is such an honor to be here. I love everything that everybody is doing and just talking about all the different topics. So it is such a privilege to have the opportunity to speak to everyone today and talk about renewable energy because it's something that I really wasn't aware of until I kind of fell into the industry. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Hopefully you can see it. Hold on 1 second. Okay. All right, I just want to make sure everyone can see. Perfect. So today I'm going to be talking about empowering women in solar, breaking barriers, and creating a brighter future. And so I know I was already introduced, but just to give you a little bit more of a background. So, my background is in clinical psychology. I studied marriage and family therapy, absolutely loved it. I love being able to help people in any capacity. And that's kind of how everything transformed into what it is today. But now I am a host of Entrepreneurship by Design with Dr. C. It is a YouTube channel as well as a podcast, just interviewing different types of inspiring entrepreneurs, probably like yourselves as well, or listening. And I am a serial entrepreneur. So I am co owner of Solar All Over. It's here in Colorado, but we do service the whole entire nation. Well, 34 states to be exact. In addition to that, I have a recruiting agency that I saw a need for the solar industry in particular, and now it's expanded to other industries as well. But I love being able to really help other individuals find and match make essentially of what works for them in jobs and potential careers as well. I am a private wellness consultant, so I really focus on being healthy from the inside out, and that's why I feel like I fell into solar because it's now helping the environment in other capacities, and I am an international speaker as well as a published author. So that's a mouthful. And so today's objectives are really to go over the facts of solar benefits, underrepresentation that's happening within the industry, but how that is transforming slightly, gender biases and stereotypes that happen in the industry that I've encountered as well as others, and then really creating representation and role models that we can look to that have been in the industry for a long time that I really didn't know about until I got into the industry, and how they've really transformed solar and renewable energy, and what we see with work life balance challenges and inclusive workplace cultures as well. So, some facts about solar: it is the cheapest energy. So, 33% cheaper than gas power in the United States. And efficiency of solar energy: most solar panels have energy efficiency rating over 20%, which that translates to the percentage of energy that can be converted into electricity. So, solar energy generates heat and light. It's produced by the sun through a process called nuclear fusion, where hydro atoms collide and fuse. So, it's creating helium. And this fusion generates radiant heat and light. So, I'm going to give you a lot of facts right now, but bear with me and let me know if you have questions. And so, the panels produce energy without direct sunlight. There's a lot of misconceptions about solar doesn't work, solar, what is solar? but it truly can actually work even if it's not direct sunlight. So solar panels function better in the sun, that is a fact, but they can function on cloudy days, rainy days, heavy rain, because it utilizes the UV radiation to produce energy. And so, some more facts: panels can last up to 30 years. So, they operate at a high efficiency for the first 25 to 30 years, and they can still function. It's just it goes down a little bit more than what it has been the last 25 to 30 years. So, after 6 years of installation, you start to see a return on investment and savings. There's a lot of misconceptions that you have to pay an arm and a leg for solar, and that's not the reality. If you can afford electricity, you can afford solar, because essentially, instead of paying the utility company, you start paying the solar loan, or you pay in cash in that regard. But you start to see that return on investment because your bill is reduced significantly. And panels will never completely stop converting sunlight into solar energy because the sun is always there. Maybe not every single day, but it is there. And it is the most abundant energy on Earth that we have. The amount of sunlight that hits the Earth's surface in 90 minutes is enough to power the energy consumption around the world for an entire year, which is wild. I'm going to repeat that because that's like wild to me when I found out these facts. So the amount of sunlight that is on the Earth's surface in 90 minutes, there's enough power for the entire energy consumption that we do as a world. It can do it for the entire year. That's wild. And so 173,000 terawatts of solar energy strikes the Earth continuously. So that's 10,000 times more than the world's total energy consumption and use. Crazy facts. And so the standard warranty for all solar panels is 25 years. There are some companies and some panels that have a 30-year warranty as well. So they do last a long time. So it's just like taking out a mortgage, basically. There's minimal maintenance. So literally all you have to do is just spray it off with a hose one or two times a year, and it is perfectly fine. A lot of times the rain will clear off dust or dirt that's accumulated over time, but there is very minimal maintenance on it, which is really nice. And the countries that are investing the most in solar energy is China. They're leading the way. The EU, the US, Vietnam, Japan are the biggest producers of solar energy in the world right now, and it's starting to grow rapidly. And so benefits of solar, sorry about that. Got a little ahead of myself because there's so many benefits. So it is cost effective. It's one of the cheapest energy sources available. Like I already mentioned, the cost will automatically decrease as technology advances. We've seen significant changes in price from when it first started way back in the 1980s. But we have seen producing 1 whole megawatt per hour. So what that basically is, it's a lot of energy, but it fell from 86% from 2009 to 2017. So that is significant in prices. It's creating so many jobs as well. So solar power has created well-paying jobs for almost 250,000 people just here in the US alone. And according to statistics, solar installers are one of the fastest growing profession roles in America. And solar costs, it's declining as the demand for solar energy is continuously increasing. Because right now, if I am correct on my stats, I just got these about a few months ago, there's still 85 million people here in the US that can get solar that don't have it yet. So that's a lot of people that can start saving money, but also we're saving the planet, which I think I'm all about. And also it's growing just the job opportunities as well. So some more benefits: it promotes a healthy environment. I'm all about a healthy mind and body, and now the environment as well. I just really didn't know much about solar and renewable energy. You hear about it, but really understanding that it emits no air pollution like other things do. It doesn't produce carbon emissions that cause acid rain or greenhouse gases. The energy harnessed by the solar comes directly from the sun, and no water is used to generate the electricity. So we're conserving on water as well. It's sustainable. So the US has some of the world's richest solar resources right here. And solar is a renewable source of energy that harnesses the energy from the sun. It's abundant. It's unlike fossil fuels that are very costly. So it's really saving on so many different levels. not just your wallet. And so it immediately increases the value of your home. So it's the only home improvement that pays for itself. So immediately when you install solar on your home, it immediately increases the value of your home. So it actually helps you when you're selling your home or whatever you might want to do, but it does help in that regard. The kitchen was like the most lucrative home improvement before, but solar is definitely number one at this moment. And you save money by going solar. So the government has incentives of 30% tax incentive by switching to solar. So they're pouring that in. And just a little fun fact about that, up until it was last year, they changed it. It was continuously decreasing and it was only 26% up until like, I would say last year was about May or June, and they extended it till the end of the year, and then the next 10 years for up to 30% of a tax incentive for people to go solar. So the government's really pouring into people going solar. So it's helping the environment, it's helping the grid. If you live in California, you probably see it everywhere because there's so many more electric car charger stations now and things along those lines. But it's just to make your home more efficient, and really it's helping the environment as a whole as well. And so solar farms, I don't know if you've ever seen those. If you're driving past like open land, there more and more are coming about, but it doesn't burn fossil fuels and it requires no transportation for that fuel, and very little water is being used. Again, we're conserving on water, and there's no pollution, no polluting using the solar farms as well, and there's no carbon emissions when generating the electricity. And that's a big aspect because it's not putting anything into the universe or the air or in the environment as well. I'm a little woo-woo. I love the universe stuff. And so when we move into the underrepresentation of women in solar, women are not as prevalent in the solar industry is what I've learned. I didn't learn it until my fiance is in the solar industry, and that's how I ended up in the solar industry. But we were actually at SolarCon, which is a big conference that happens. It was the second one, and it was back in April. And I realized something. I knew there wasn't as many women, but when I was walking around the conference, it was like one woman to every 1,000 males. And so it is heavily dominated by men. And it's really nice when I start to recruit and see more women in the industry in any capacity, not just even selling solar, but the installation part, the construction. And what I have seen, and statistically, it's about 22% of the workforce in the energy sector is women, or is 32% of renewable energy. So just to kind of repeat that and clarify that. So 22% of the workforce in the entire energy sector is women, but in renewable energy sector, it's 32% of women. So that makes up less than a quarter of the industry of the workforce for solar, women in solar. And because I think a lot of sales jobs are male dominated, just from what I've seen in my recruiting efforts, but also encountering on calls and anything that's related to renewable energy, I've seen so many more males, and it is very much of what I've seen more of a bro culture. And it's really amazing to see how many more women are starting to come in. And I'll talk about some of those women that have really made such an impact. And that's my mission, to make more of an impact as well and have more women in the industry and making a difference for not only their families, but the families around them as well. And so just to kind of give you a little bit more, there is the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENE. Women are made up 32% of the renewable energy workforce. Most of their roles are administrative positions. So that's lower pay. There's that gender gap pay-wise as well. So really being able to familiarize people with just the opportunities that are available, but they can still do it. I feel like women can do anything. It doesn't matter gender. I think we all have the capability if we put our mind to it. And it's estimated by 2050, about 29 million jobs will open up in the renewable energy sector. That's significant, and it's only growing, as you can see on the graph right there too, how much money is in solar, but how much we can really help save the planet as well. And as the job market grows, right now, so many people are being laid off, especially in tech companies and other types of industries. More women may be seeking employment in the renewable energy space, which I think is great because we can help the planet for our future generations to come as well. And a lot of times the reason I've seen and spoken with women that they're a little hesitant to go into the industry is because there's lack of skills and gender-specific training opportunities is what I've heard. So to kind of give you a little bit more of what I've heard and seen when it comes to stereotypes and gender biases with that is there's an encouragement and awareness and education to have those tools available, to have opportunities for people to have trainings and just the awareness of it, and to address unconscious biases that are happening and challenge stereotypes within the solar industry. So there is the North American Board of Certified Energy Practitioners, and that is completely underutilized by women. A lot of women don't know about it. They haven't been able to access it, but it is available. It's just the lack of awareness or education that there is opportunity. It's just being able to find it. And it's the diamond in the rough, basically. But it's establishing diversity initiatives too, having more women of all backgrounds as well, not just women in general, but women of all backgrounds. And so one of the women that has been one of the most influential women in solar is Abigail Rose Hopper, and she was the first woman to fill the CEO position at Solar Energy Industries Association. And she's very vocal about tackling challenges women face in the industry. And one of her quotes that I loved to really highlight of how it is so male dominated, that she said, throughout her career, she was often the only woman at the table. And the goal now is to prevent future generations from facing the same barriers she encountered as a woman in a male dominated industry. So really bringing light to that there's room for everybody at the table. We just have to take a seat or make our own table, in my opinion. And that's what I plan on doing and am doing. And I feel like everyone here too, in their own right. And so just to go a little further to promoting diversity and inclusion, Abigail also said, I've noticed that unless we make diversity and inclusion a priority and core value, we won't see changes. We must be intentional about this work. And I think it's just creating our own spaces, but having more women in the industry understanding what it is and just bringing light to it, because I feel like there's a lot of industries that are male dominated, but I feel like we are starting to really grow exponentially in our own businesses and just taking a stand for what we believe in, but also making our own tables. And so moving into more people that are in the industry, women in particular, Catherine Blair-Bloch, I think I'm saying her right name, probably mispronounced that, but she is an American physicist and made significant contributions to the renewable energy space. So in 1934, she invented the color gauge and a non-reflecting invisible glass, which laid the foundation for the industry. So I have a picture there. I can't use a picture of her, but she literally created, like if you think of glasses or anything, that windows especially, but she was a huge influence in the solar industry, renewable industry, to be able to create that. So that's where, if you've ever seen a solar panel outside of this presentation, you'll see that it is that non-reflecting, but it's very interesting to me, invisible glass. But she was the one who invented it, which is really cool. And Catherine enhanced solar panels by introducing coatings and increasing their efficiency and making them water repellent. So they're safe to have on the roofs in general, but also it just made it more safe. And she was able to really invent that whole process. And she utilized LED and OLED lighting to improve electrical aspects of the glass, and also other aspects to really advance solar panel technology, because it has come a long way and it's probably at its peak right now. It might grow more, but there's so much room to learn about it and understand it. And her inventions and contributions have played a crucial role in the development of modern solar panels. Because if you've ever seen panels from like years ago, they're very vintage. All right, moving right along. And so Maria Telks, I think I'm terrible with names, but Maria, she is a Hungarian scientist and inventor, and she spent a significant portion of her life in the United States, and she was pioneering a figure in the field of solar energy and being one of the early solar pioneers, regardless of gender. And she is known as the Sun Queen, which I thought was cool. And that was due to her groundbreaking invention of the solar thermal storage system, as you can see the picture there. So being able to cook on there as well. And the invention marked the first ever solar-powered heating system designed for residential use. So the creation of the solar distiller as well. And then we move into Kristen Nicole. She is the founder and executive director of WISE, Women in Solar Energy, and that was founded in 2012. And she's an advocate for justice, equality, diversity, and inclusion by providing technical careers for women. So not even just the sales part, but on the back end stuff. So project management, being actually able to install the panels. A lot of people that have been in the STEM industry, like going to school for STEM, engineering, things that can really be able to grow in those industries for women. And a big part of representation is just having mentorship, networking, leadership, and role models that are on the forefront where you can see them, you know who they are in, I think, any industry, but especially in solar, and encouraging diverse leadership, being able for little girls to see all walks of life, all different types of women, all different backgrounds, ethnicities, races. I think it's so important to have representation, and they're starting to have more and more, but there's a long way to go, in my opinion, which is why I'm excited to even be talking about it. And it's being able to provide opportunities to women to serve as those role models, and visible representation of women in leadership positions can allow little girls to see that, and young girls as well, but being able to move forward in the industry and make a difference. And then we move to, speaking of more younger women, Eden. She is a young solar inventor. She invented the solar or sun saluter. It's a non-toxic, inexpensive, recyclable device made of metal and bamboo. And that allows the solar panels to track the sun without using a motor. So some of the inverters that we have on our homes for those panels, it's a little bit different. I couldn't find a picture online to really show you, but essentially it's a panel, but it has this, like, I don't know, a stand where it can move side to side, and it utilizes the solar energy to power solar panels that rotate to track the sun by harnessing mechanical water flow. So it's really able to be a multi-purpose, and 40% increase in electricity is generation for users. So the invention is making a significant impact by providing clean water through solar energy to off-grid rural communities in 18 different countries and counting. So it's amazing what she's been able to create at such a young age. I don't feel like age defines us by any means, but she's been able to really help so many people have clean water through solar energy, which is amazing. A true role model, I think. And then another solution that I recently came across was Rise 2030. And this is all about empowerment, equality, and sustainable are their core pillars. And it's empowering women and youth, contributing to and providing sustainable education on renewable energy and employment in disadvantaged regions of Lebanon in particular. And it's promoting and achieving justice, peace, sustainability, equality. But this launched the first all-women solar team in Lebanon, which I think is so amazing what they're doing out there. But it's less than 1% of women that are in the general workforce in general, but in Lebanon in particular, that they are starting to create jobs for women of all capacities in the solar industry. Because to get one person solar on their home, it takes about 6 companies and 3 government organizations here in the US. So there's a lot of moving parts. So it's not just about selling the solar and installing the solar. There is a lot of steps and tape that you go through. So it's incredible what Rise 2030, I thought that was just an amazing program that has been launched and is growing significantly. And when we look at what women have to endure when it comes to work-life balance challenges, I don't believe in work-life balance. I don't think you can have full balance in your life. I do believe in work-life integration or harmony, because every season of our life is a little bit different depending on family, our everyday life. But what I have seen with a lot of the women that I work with in particular is balancing family responsibilities and demanding work schedules, just in any capacity, if they're working a 9 to 5 versus if they're an entrepreneur. But with solar too, it's really creating more jobs that are flexible and flexible work schedules and remote work options. There are a lot of companies that you're able to work from home. You can create your own schedule. So it makes it really easy to counteract those challenges that are happening, because I do see a lot of people that have to go into an office that work maybe in the solar industry in different capacities. It's hard to have parental leave policies or what those look like. they sometimes only get 6 to 8 weeks. Every company is a little bit different though. So really understanding how we can make that flexible in when we don't have control over that. But with the solar industry, you can. And so really creating an inclusive work culture. So creating inclusive, supportive work environments, creating facilities that model that. So especially women that are maybe in the construction areas that are working in that capacity, having bathrooms and having rooms for mothers that have just maybe given birth and they're breastfeeding still, being able to have those aspects in place, because not men don't think about that or have that in place. And just having appropriate uniforms too, so sizes that are appropriate for women, especially in the construction aspect of solar, being able to just really be mindful of that and make it a little bit easier for everybody. And create and support childcare options, so maybe even having some kind of a daycare or something that can really help lend to that. I think we have a long way to go in that capacity, but just things to think about and what we can do and making a difference, and just promoting an environment free from sexual harassment, because there is so many men versus women in the industry. Being able to just have trainings and being aware of that, because it still is very prevalent. And being able to implement diversity and inclusion initiatives and just inclusive hiring practices. I know that is so important to me because I do have a recruiting agency for solar in particular. And I love seeing the diversity, men and women, but in particular, women, just being able to see all the different walks of life that come in and all different backgrounds, because anybody can do it. It's just a matter of wanting to. But I think the biggest part for me is diversity. That's something I love and value significantly, but for more women to come into the industry and make a difference, because I feel like it's not just about helping the homeowner, you're helping the planet too. And it's good for your wallet as well. But I think the biggest thing is you're just making a difference. And that's why I think it's so amazing, creating a brighter future for you and everybody else around you. So I would love to know if anyone has any questions. I know I went through that pretty quick, but I just love it. I get very passionate and excited about it.
It's really an amazing speech, Dr. Carolyn. So we do have a questions for you. So
Okay.
how can I challenge and confront my own sorry. So I how can I challenge and confront my own unconscious biases and assumptions related to gender?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
How can I challenge and confront my own unconscious biases and assumptions related to gender?
How to be able to confront those challenges? I
Yes.
think that's a wonderful question. And I think it's just being able to really understand when you are maybe having a conception or an assumption about somebody or something, really look at how that affects your body. That's something that has really impacted me. And when you're judging somebody or thinking that something's happening, how do you feel inside? Like what's going through your mind? Because I'm really about the mind body connection and how sometimes we judge something, we might think something and we feel it in our body. And I know that might sound a little weird or whatnot, but for me, that's something how I identify it. And then how I challenge it is ask myself, well, what about that person? What's going on for me? How am I identifying this relationship with this person, whether it's professional, personal, mostly professional? Is there something that they've said to me? How have I gone about the situation? Is there a conversation we can have? Because I think a lot of people have a hard time actually confronting or talking about something that's going on for them, but being really honest with yourself first and foremost, and then just having an open, honest conversation. Because when it comes from a compassionate place where you're just out of curiosity, it can really help understand what's going on for you and then be able to challenge those thoughts you're having. But I think the biggest thing is what we don't know, we don't know. But if we have a conversation, it can really change how we're thinking about something and challenge it.
Well answered. And one more question for you. So
Sure.
what steps can I take to promote gender equality in my everyday interactions and decision making processes?
Yeah, that's a wonderful question. And I think how you promote that is being able to show up, have a seat at the table, be able to vocalize what's going on. If you have friends that are in the industry too, if you see something that should be addressed, say something. I think that's the biggest part, using our voice, speaking up. That's the best way to continue to promote it because we have more conversations like that.
I, I think I need some water. Yes. So thank you so much. It's really an amazing speech from Dr. Caroline. So today, each and every presentation is unique, and we have learned something, some good things, and some experiences from each presentation. So thank you so much for all the wonderful women here. So for joining this session and experiencing sharing your stories, and letting us know how to overcome mental trauma, and also how to be very strong-minded woman. I mean, and also empowering women. So thank you, Carolyn, for your wonderful presentation today. So yes, there is a live event, physical event, which is going live in New York, USA. So if you want to join or participate in that event, and obviously we do need your comments as well. So please join. So we will share the Zoom link, so you can even join that. Thank you, Dr. Caroline, and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So let's move on to the another speaker. So this is Melinda Roy, and so I'm the host for 2 days. I think I need some water. So let's take not only me. So everyone needs some water and some coffee break. So let's have some 15 minutes of coffee break, and we'll get back to you.